Start again. Good afternoon and welcome to SportWorks Talks. My name's Christian Page with the sound on this time. And with me today is Matteo. Good to have you with us, Matteo.
Hello, Christian. Hello, everyone from all over the world, wherever you are. My name is Matteo. We're going to spend together the next 40 minutes or so. Pleasure to be here.
And it's great. So we're going to be discussing the shaping the future of sport through education, and a really important topic. And education is one of the cornerstones of developing any industry. And I think it's really key to the sport industry, especially now. And we're going to look at some of the opportunities that this current crisis is presenting, and how education is really one of the key opportunities that we can look to for our industry. As always, our talk will run for about 20 minutes, and then Matteo's going to we'll do a Q&A at the end of around another 20 minutes. So if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat and we'll come to those towards the end. Also, if you could just drop in the chat where you're from. Thank you for dropping in and saying whether the sound wasn't working. Apologies for that. And we will look forward to welcoming you for this presentation. So now I'm going to hand over to Matteo and we'll start.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Christian. Thanks a lot to SportWorks. So my name is Matteo. I'm from Italy, as my accent tells you, of course. And so you will spend together the next 40 minutes or so. And during the first 20 minutes, I'm going to present a little bit what we are doing at CIES. I think we can start with the presentation. So the title of today, Shaping the Future of Sport Through Education. So let's start with that. Before doing it, it's something that typically we do at the end, but I prefer to do that before. Today, you are going to be with me. But behind this presentation, there are a lot of people, and I want just to mention all of them. Vincent, the GS of CIES, of course, my colleagues David and Desiree, Kevin, Alessandro, and everybody. So this is really a joint effort. It's like in a rock band. Today I'm the frontman, I'm the singer, but there is an orchestra behind me. So let's start. As I told you, I work at CIES. What is CIES? The International Center for Sports Studies. We have been founded in 1995 by the University of Neuchâtel, FIFA, the Canton of Neuchâtel, and the State of Neuchâtel. So we were born in 1995. That means this is our 25th anniversary. So happy birthday, CIES, if I may say. And so this is where we are located. We are located in beautiful Neuchâtel. So now, if you are from Switzerland, probably you know Neuchâtel. If you don't know Neuchâtel, it's a tiny town, beautiful place in between Lausanne, Geneva, and Zurich. So in between the Olympic capital, Zurich, where FIFA is, Geneva, which is also a sports center. This is a beautiful building from 18th century. We have a beautiful view on lake and mountains from one of these windows where my office is. So what we do at CIES, just one basic information. We love sport. We care about sports. That's in our DNA, and that's why we have been founded. So let's have a look of our presence worldwide. As I told you, we are in Neuchâtel, which is a small place, but again, in our DNA, there is this international ambition. So we have programs that we run a little bit everywhere in the world. You probably heard about the FIFA Master, which is our flagship program. It's done in 3 universities, Neuchâtel, Bocconi, in Milano, and the Montfort University in the UK. We also have the Master in Sports Law, again in Neuchâtel. Many figures in the sports law area come from this master, and we have the FIFA CIES management programs a little bit everywhere in different continents. You can see the spots, South America, Africa. We do that in partnership with many universities. This is what we do at CIES. Quick look. We have 2 pillars. The first one is research. We do research on many subjects. We are multidisciplinary: sociology, geography, law, governance. You probably heard about 2 research centers that we have: the Sport Intelligence Center, analyzing data about the sports industry and mostly focusing on football, and the Football Observatory, again, one of our flagship sport research centers at CIES. And then the other pillar is education. And in the education area, we have 2 different areas. We have the academic, traditional education. I mentioned some of these programs, the FIFA Master, the international network, and we have the executive area, which is what I do together with my colleagues. And that's exactly where I'm going to focus a little bit. What is executive education? Well, whereas in the academic traditional education, we have people from, of course, from everywhere in the world, but from different backgrounds, including people students who want to step into the sports industry. The executive education area is for people who are already established in the industry and who want to have an extra training. Now, we have to understand two things. The sports industry is huge. That means we have people active in this industry with no, let's say, sports management background, which is normal. And then the other thing is that the sports landscape is changing and is evolving everywhere. So even the ones who have 7-10 years of experience in the sports industry, they need at some point to have a refresh. They need to learn new topics to understand a little bit better the industry. And that's actually what we do. So I'm gonna start now 2 or 3 minutes about telling our story, the story of executive education at CIES. This is our mission, to train football and sport executives worldwide. Beautiful picture from, of course, before COVID. We were in Trinidad. I was proudly standing in the middle of this picture during one of the workshops that we used to do. This is our journey. We started in 2018. And at that time, we worked on the FIFA CONMEBOL CIES program executive with football. There was an executive program for the South America FIFA member association, national football associations. We were asked to train the general secretaries of these associations and the head staff, the heads and the top staff of the associations. That was completely new for us, and that's how we started. 2019, since the program was successful, we replicated, we changed, of course, the program, and we did another program for the Caribbean AMAs, again, within football. 2020, we had 2 programs for the African AMAs, one from the English African countries and one from the French African countries. And in 2019, again, we cooperated once again with FIFA on the FIFA Diploma in Football Law, which focuses, as the name says, on law and governance. So you can see 2 years, we basically we multiplied by 5 our actions worldwide. That means we were successful. Now, what we like to do, what we love to do at CIES is to critically think about our actions, about our programs. It's a constant work of analyzing and hopefully trying to get better. And that's why we came to some lessons learned. But before to do that, I just want to show some figures. We trained more than 80 FIFA football AMAs general secretaries. Maybe the number doesn't tell you a lot, but actually it's more than a third of all the football national associations worldwide, that are a little bit more than 200. We had more than 250 participants, and of course, we are active on 3 continents. And now, the lessons learned that I was mentioning. When you do a lot of things, that was, of course, for us, the case, you learn a lot, and sometimes you also do mistakes. Well, if you sleep on a banana, well, you can fall. It can hurt, but you learn quite a lot. And that's how, basically, we proceed in order to get better. The first lesson that we learned is that we have to talk with our stakeholders, always, always, and always. In order to build trust, the biggest mistake we can do is to go there because we know the landscape, we have the knowledge, we have the best speakers, so please sit down and listen. Well, you know what? Nobody's buying it. Nobody buys it, because if you act this way, you are not creating value for your stakeholders. So if you want to create this value, you have to talk with them. That is why, for example, recently we applied a design thinking approach. That means creating awareness among our stakeholders so that they can identify themselves the problems they want to tackle. So the cycle is reversed. We don't come with the solutions and the problems. We work together to identify the problems and to find the solutions. Second, lessons learned, you have to understand your audience and their needs. It's not because a program is successful that you can replicate that. You do a program successfully in South America, you run the same program in Africa, it's actually the same. Again, if you copy paste, you are not successful. You are not matching the needs of your users, and that's important. Another lesson that we learned: we have to be relevant. Again, creating value means being close to the user needs. I can tell you a quick story. It happened to me. I had a very good speaker on a subject, and he's from Europe, and I wanted to bring him on another continent to run a session. Huge expertise, huge experience, huge knowledge, also a very good guide. So all the elements were there, and everything was set for failure. Because when we arrived together during our session, after a minute, I could already understand that there was no vibe, or at least no good vibe, and no communication at all. Why? Because the guy was not relevant to our audience. The guy was telling stories related to another dimension, and basically was not touching the needs and the problems that my audience, our audience, was actually experiencing on a daily basis. So again, be relevant is a key lesson learned for us. And if you do that, you bridge the gap between between us as learning, let's say, program creators and the users. And that's important because you build value and you build knowledge. And of course, the final lesson that we learned is iterate, iterate, iterate. It's like probably when you cook, you have probably, let's imagine you have the best ingredients from all over the world. You have a good recipe and you start creating your recipe. It's not because you have the best ingredients that the final outcome will be good. You have to try and try and try. And most importantly, you have to make your users taste it so that you understand if what you produce is good for them or not. So this is for us key. Iterate, 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 always trying to improve and to get better. Now, this is the story that I wanted to tell you. And this story arrives until, let's say, February, March 2020. And in February, March 2020, we were like this. Plenty of projects in our pipeline. The engines were hot. We were ready to start. Everything was set. And once again, everything was set for failure. Now, maybe you are not an expert of Formula One. I'm not. But in Formula One, if you see this flag, red flag, bad sign, you have to stop. You have to come back to your box. And that's what happened with COVID. All our business was completely disrupted. We were doing workshops everywhere in the world. And of course, we couldn't fly. And of course, we couldn't do a lot of things. Now, for me, there are two ways of reacting to crisis, generally speaking, and to this crisis in particular, which is COVID. Either you focus on what you cannot do. You cannot fly. You cannot put everybody in a classroom. You cannot shake hands. You cannot have coffee talks. Or you focus on what you can do. And of course, COVID is a crisis, but as a crisis is always an opportunity. And that's why we believed that it was the right time for us to come back to our box, fix the engine, work on different solutions. And the motto was never waste a good crisis. How many times, Christian, we heard this sentence? Probably it's a little bit to use, but for us it was true. We don't have to waste a good crisis. We have to sit down, analyze what we do, and work on challenges and opportunities. And that's what we did. That's why we identified some challenges and some opportunities for this particular time where we're living. The first one, how we can create a compelling online experience. Now, virtually every organization did the same. We used to do face-to-face sessions. Let's switch on Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams. Well, basically, let's do the same, but online. Now, our typical workshop runs from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. Now, if you spend from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. on Zoom, well, good luck with that, because at 5 a.m. probably you have no idea where you are, because it's just too much. You cannot simply throwing on Zoom or Teams or Skype what you were doing face to face. You have to create a new way of delivering online experience. The second challenge and the second opportunity, of course, for us, because every challenge is an opportunity, how we can create new ways of engagement. Again, where you are online, there are a lot of things that you cannot do, but there are things that you can do. I was reading an article. The most stupid things you can do when you are on Zoom you can see everybody's face. Now, if I go to a classroom and I always sit on the back, I can see everybody's back. Now, here we can see everybody's face. Now, it's probably not the element that changes the way we do our programs, but still, it's that means that there are things we can focus on in order to improve. And the third challenge and opportunity, can we look beyond the limits of the sports industry? For us, this is key. We believe that there is a need of innovation in the sports industry, and we believe that sometimes we tend to refer to our industry as a closed ecosystem. We know the sports industry is unique. We know that the sports industry is special, but sometimes we have the feeling that we are not looking beyond. And it's something that probably during this crisis we can do. So taking into account all these challenges, and of course here I just mentioned 3 among the ones we worked on, we created our CIES way. Well, this is CIES, jumping from a small ball to a bigger one because we want to get better and get hopefully bigger. And I just gonna show you what are the pillars of our CIES way. First of all, everything is possible attitude. Again, COVID time is a time of constraints, but it's also a time of freedom. You can do a lot of things during COVID, things that probably you couldn't do before. And that's actually where we want to focus. Let's have this everything is possible attitude. Let's try to invent. Let's try to disrupt. This is something we can do now. We couldn't do probably before in the same way. Let's have a co-creation approach. And again, the more we work together with our stakeholders, the more we can create value for them. It's, again, a virtuous circle that we are trying to implement. Let's focus on new topics. Let's go beyond the way we used to do before. There is a sentence that I always quote, and for me it's a great one. It's from an Austrian philosopher, Ludwig Wittgenstein, who used to say the limits of our language means the limits of our world. If we use always the same language and the same word, at the end of the day, we are shrinking our horizon. If we open to new languages, if you open to new words, we are probably broadening our horizon and we can learn way more. So, typical example. Are we teaching strategy? If we teach strategy the same way we used to teach strategy like 10 years ago, does it make sense for us? Probably doesn't make sense because the world has changed. Decision making. After COVID, should we teach decision making a different way? Leadership. Do we need a new kind of leader? Those are the questions that we're trying to ask when we try to focus on new topics. And of course, the most important attitude we should have is energy. Where you are online, you have no excuse. You have to be there. You have to be energetic. Sometimes you have to chase your users. You have to stay there and literally convince them to be with you. But if you do that, you can be successful. At the end of the day, it's like in the Beatles song. The energy you take equals the energy you make. And for us, it's important to stay active in order to provide value to our users. Now, I think I've been talking for 20 minutes, but this is not the end of my presentation. You could ask yourself at this point in time, like, okay, well, this guy has been talking for 20 minutes. What is the bottom line of all that? Okay, we know the attitude, we know the way he wants or they want the CIES to shape the future of sport through education. Now, what's the matter? Well, of course, it's time for something new. And this is a little bit the announcement I want to make together with you guys today. All that I said so far means that we are trying to explore new ways. And that is actually what we did with something that we are launching in a few days. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are opening just time for you to see, our new learning management system. So what is a learning management system? It's an e-learning platform. is a learning platform where we would be able to host a lot of different courses, a lot of different programs to create bonds within the sports industry. This will be ideally the house for the sports executive to come and learn together, exchange together, create synergies, create bonds, advance together. That's a little bit why we see that. A learning management system is just a tool, it's just a technical tool, but we will fill it with different topics, with different subjects, in order to tackle the challenges of today's sport industry and to provide the right tools for everybody to learn and advance together. So it's gonna come in a few days, so you have to stay tuned. We will inform you, and we will use the platform to help organizations, to help individuals, and to reinforce the sports family. And we start our story from CIES, from this beautiful building in Neuchâtel. Let's close with that, because now e-learning is happening here. So we don't only have the view on the mountain and on the lake, but we are also creating new kind of experiences. So this is the end of my presentation. Of course, if you are interested in what I said and to learn more about CIES, generally speaking, and about what we do at Executive Education, well, this is our email address. You are more than welcome to send us an email. And hopefully I will answer some questions now in a few seconds. But of course, if you have more questions, just drop us an email. Thank you.
Fantastic. What a great presentation. Wonderful to share your journey and exciting news for everybody who's been online to get that first glimpse of what is going to be a very powerful tool for our industry. As you say, it is a tool, a new learning management system, but knowing what's behind it, and we were discussing this earlier, is something which I think is really important to stress, because it isn't just about putting a few courses online, it's what's behind it. And I think this is something that CIES is really looking to enhance, and have done a great job. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks, Christian. Thanks, Christian. Again, it's really a joint effort. We worked hard together to make it happen, and it's just the beginning of a new journey, because once you have the tool, well, you have to fill it, and that's probably the next challenge. Yeah. We're already working on it, of course.
Fantastic, great stuff. So thank you for all participating, and I've just seen the questions popping in here, so I'm just going to pop to those now. So thanks for those. Great to see you from all around the world joining us to this evening or this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are. So a question here from Anne-Laure. Question, is CIES only proposing training education in football?
Well, no, absolutely not. First of all, our programs are called programs in sports management. I mentioned, for example, the FIFA Master, which is in sports management, and all the programs that we run. So we are focusing a lot on football. We have a special relation with FIFA. We work a lot with that, and we are proud to do that. But of course, we are not proposing programs only focusing on football.
That's great. And it's great to hear, because I think the breadth of the sport industry, and I know a lot of the graduates from the FIFA Masters, a lot of good friends, and they've all said that how broad the course can be, and it covers not just football topics.
Absolutely,
which is a really important aspect.
Absolutely.
So great question. Thanks, Hello, for that. Anna Vivas, thanks for your question. Does CIES offer scholarships for women for developing countries or people for the sports laws program?
Wow, this is a really great question. Now, hopefully we will do that. The thing, we know that there is a need. So ideally, we should be able to do that. It's something we are considering for our next programs. And for the current programs, there are, of course, scholarships. But for the programs that we will build on the platform, we will try to be as flexible as possible and to have scholarship as well. Yes.
That's great. It is a great question. It is important to address those. So well done. Thanks for that, Anna. So another question. And I think this one has hopefully been answered already. Did you already have online educational programs?
Well, it's gonna come. That's a great question, and it's gonna come. Well, this is a little bit the sense of what I've been talking about so far. And again, I'm not saying here that e-learning is better than face-to-face. I'm just saying that e-learning is can create a different kind of learning experience, more flexible. Everybody can follow it at ease or pace. That means that we will create this kind of program. So now we just set the technical tool, the platform, and we are already working on some things that we are implement. Hopefully we will implement by the end of the year or just beginning of 2021.
Fantastic. So watch this space for further announcements of what's coming up. You mentioned there about it being a tool, and we've said it several times. A learning management system is just a tool. What differentiates it? And we'll talk a little bit about this from, there's lots of clips online that you can go on and spend 10 minutes. You can learn about anything, and millennials will vouch for this, that they can jump online and find a 10-minute clip and learn how to do something. But what's the difference between a learning management system and, say, just a regular Zoom call?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Christian. Thanks for asking that. Of course, now you can see my beard is a little bit white. That means that I'm a little bit old. I managed to go online and find videos on YouTube. Probably my niece was 15-year-old. She knows way better than me. And of course, if you go on Google, you open a TED Talks, you can find virtually every experience and every content. Watching a content doesn't mean that we are learning. It's like putting water on a dry surface. Sometimes it doesn't work to make a plant grow. A learning management system means that it's going to be a comprehensive experience with videos pre-recorded, typically small bites, 10 to 15 minute videos, with quizzes, with experimental learning. That means that you basically, the learner, the user, is supposed to apply right at this desk what is learning through the learning management system. I didn't mention in my presentation, but we are inspired by this rule, the 48-hour rule. That means everybody you learn on a learning management system, you should be able to apply that within 48 hours. You have a session 9 o'clock, you watch a video 9 o'clock, you work on a case studies 9 o'clock, you have a meeting with your boss 11, and then you can already apply something. And that's a little bit the meaning behind the learning management system. The idea is to build a comprehensive ecosystem where different users can, first of all, enjoy the content, but most of all, interact among them. So it's going to be something interactive where everybody is coming and they will work together. It's not individual learning. The idea is to create something together.
Okay. So you've had experience firsthand as well of learning management systems. You were sharing earlier that you went through this process. It's quite demanding. And it isn't just a case of sitting down and watching video. It isn't an easier way to do it. You've still got to do the work.
Absolutely. I mean, time commitment can be different. We, of course, as program creators, we typically set the time commitment. Let's say that, as you said correctly, Christian, watching a video is not enough. That means that the video must be followed by some work, and that's normal. And that's the way actually the learning will be effective. So it could be time demanding, of course. I had some experience recently, and some of them were, let's say, soft. Some of them were kind of demanding, but the more demanding they were, the better was the final result.
Like anything in life, how do you work, right? You get the result. So thanks for that question, Ellery. We've covered that one as well. Would it be possible to know what LMS CIES is using? Or is it something?
Well, we are gonna unveiling that in a few days. The very moment there will be a news on our website or social network, so you can follow us actually, so you will know.
There you go. There will be for sure some announcements are coming out of SportWorks and on SportWorker as well, so we'll help you let you follow up on that one. So another question here from Emilio. Thanks for the question, Emilio. What do you consider as your competitive advantage compared to other sport management masters?
Wow.
There we go. I'm gonna throw that one here.
That's probably the toughest question that I could envisage. Our competitive advantage at CIES. Well, first of all, I said 25-year-old. And once again, happy birthday to us. That means we have a lot of experience. We have a huge network of experts worldwide, not only in football, as I said. We cover different areas. The attitude we have is probably the difference. What makes the difference? We are not sitting on what we have achieved so far. We want to look forward. We want to reinvent. We want to disrupt. That's a little bit our attitude, and that could be identified as competitive advantage, as an attitude. Again, as if you focus a little bit more on kind of hard competitive advantage, I would say our experience, our huge network, and what we have learned throughout 25 years, and also the network of our alumni. We have more than 5,000 alumni worldwide, between the FIFA Master and the CIES the FIFA CIES management programs. That means that the learning management system we are gonna unveil is also a very good way to reconnect with them and to offer a second opportunity to be trained by CIES. And that's actually for us a goal, one of the objectives behind the learning management system.
Great answer.
Thank you.
Hopefully that covers it well, Emilio. And I'd also say something you mentioned about the LMS, it's about revitalizing some of the content and keeping it agile and current. I think this is, again, one of the advantages. So looking at the advantages of crisis and how this evolution is driving certain behaviors and moving us online to different learning tools. But it does also give you that opportunity to refresh the course material. Look at, as a course creator, certainly you've got the opportunity to really keep it up to date and current, which I think is really important for us learners. I'm one of those. I'm an avid learner and perpetual learner, as I think I call myself, and I think opportunities like that. So I like to keep current, and I think, again, one of the advantages of LMSs. So certainly good answer on that one. Thank you. So another question here. Sorry, we're getting close on time here. Question, do you plan to spread your future online training among IFs, other international federations?
Well, that's a very good question. Well, that's another objective. As I mentioned, we would like to be a place, thanks to this new learning management system, where everybody can come and learn together with us. So ideally, yes, we would love to open to different IFS and organizations. Absolutely. We care about sport. I mentioned that in our DNA. We love sport. We care about sport. And that's why we want to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And it's great to hear that, because I think we are one industry. You did mention about we've got to look at beyond the industry. There's some great learning opportunities outside of sport that we can bring in. Certainly I've seen that. But in terms of this crossover, we've seen that with the different federations dealing with the different aspects of the COVID crisis. You know, we met with triathlon earlier about 2 months ago, where they were talking about how they were working together with different IFs to help solve some of the event challenges, and I think it's a really important aspect. So
Absolutely.
Great to hear that. So
yeah, I mean, it's a way to prepare the future.
Yeah.
So.
And you mentioned about your alumni, and I would also add to that. I know many of the alumni through my relationship with the Olympic Games, and I know many of the people that work across different sporting federations. To an earlier question about, is this just about football? No, from my experience, it isn't either. There's a great depth of knowledge and breadth of knowledge that's being offered by CIES. So, yeah. So I've got one more question. Will you have learning managers to make sure the users make the most of the LMS? Yeah, good question.
Absolutely. Well, typically, an LMS program, a learning program, as something that somebody could code like the learning, let's say the academic leader, and then we have facilitators that are there to, first of all, ensure that the users enjoy the experience, but also they are there to facilitate the work process, and sometimes to act on behalf of the academic leader. That means giving feedback, working on assignments together with the users. Those figures are key because they are the ones who are really doing the job in order to enhance the whole experience for the users. So it's a great question. We are planning to have it, of course.
Great. Thanks for that question again, Emilio. And there's one, I'm just going to say there's one last more question because we're kind of up on time. Apologies for that. So a question here for Aurelio. So will online master's courses be offered in the LMS?
Well, this is kind of the ultimate goal. Let's put it this way. We are going to proceed step by step. So because for us, it's a learning process. So we will probably start with something a little bit reduced in terms of size, and then hopefully we hope to get there. I cannot give you a date. I cannot give you a time. Let's say that in a few months we will be probably more precise about that. But hopefully that's where we want to get.
Okay. So again, I think there's going to be some great opportunities to follow what the CIES team are up to, and there'll be certainly some more announcements around as you evolve and as the product as it launches in a couple of days' time. We'll let you load it up with the courses to come. So that leaves us with time for today. I want to say thank you so much for coming in to the studio.
Thank you.
Across the hall.
Thank you. Across the hall. Thanks a lot, Christian. Thanks to SportWorks. Great experience, good opportunity to share with you guys. Thanks a lot.
And all the participants who are able to join from around the world today. We hope this has been good information for you. Again, it's all about our mission is to share and inspire people to do great work within the sport industry and beyond. So following up with this, we'll be posting this online, so you'll be able to rewatch it or share with others that you think might have interest in it, plus the information about where to contact executive.education@cies.ch, so you can reach out to the team here if you've got further questions. We'll also be posting all these questions up on our Q&A forum on sportworker.com. So from myself and from Matteo, thank you so much for joining us, and from the team behind SportWorks, we wish you a safe day. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.